You're welcome back to Morning Express. Of course, for the second leg of conversations on the program this morning, we're being joined by Alex Ogboo, Esquire, who is a chartered mediator and human rights activist. The focus today is on public office holders and whether or not they can own private businesses while actively holding a public office. Hello and a very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on Morning Express.
Thank you so much.
Well, the debate has been on. Before we get to the crux of the matter, the debate has been on as to the position of the law when it comes to public office holders and what they can do business-wise privately. Now, you are a legal practitioner and you have been in the space for quite a very long time. You have a better understanding of these laws more than most people do. Yes. Do you care to take us through what the law and provides in the Constitution with regards to this?
Yes, it's actually important to understand the setting properly.
Yeah.
You know, in the fifth schedule to the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria as amended, Part 1, Paragraph 1 states clearly that a public office holder should avoid issue of clash of interest.
Yes.
Clash of interest. If you are in private practice and you are eventually appointed into a public position, you should no longer be an alter ego, a director in your private practice. You can have shares in as many companies as you can. You can be a farmer at whatever scale. And you know, farming can be a large scale something. You are permitted to be a farmer. You can be a farmer, have as much as you can in farming. You can have shares. But you cannot be allowed to be a director in a private practice to avoid clash of interest. You know, now if you look at paragraph 2B of that fifth schedule, so 1999 Constitution, it also says that you are not supposed to be actively involved in the management of a private enterprise or organization when holding office. If you do, you could be removed from public office, you could be prohibited from holding public office further. All right? And Code of Conduct Bureau and Code of Conduct Tribunal is also empowered to investigate and try any person in public office who is involved actively in private practice.
Yes.
For instance, from the lawyer's angle, if I, as a private legal practitioner today, is made a minister or commissioner, you know, my office, my chamber will not be closed down, but I cannot be running my chamber. I will be on leave from my chamber for the period I will be in public office.
Even if it is 5, 10 years,
10 years
as long as you're there?
Yes. Even if, suppose I'll be in public office for the next 20 years, I'll be on leave for my private chambers. There should be other lawyers working there, but not me.
But can you earn from the chambers?
If as a shareholder, yes, as a shareholder from the chamber, I can.
But not as a direct, yes, as a direct salary director.
No, I cannot. I cannot. You know, it's like you are. You know, the public office is actually a sensitive thing.
Yes.
The aim is this: that when you are in public office, you should be neutral to all citizens of a country where you are serving.
Yes.
You are not permitted by law to award contract to a company that you own or where you participated. Maybe you are a shareholder in that company. You are not permitted to award contract to that particular company to avoid favoring one against the other. You are supposed to be neutral to everybody and ensure that things are equitably distributed. That's actually what that law is trying to, curtail. Not that all the companies you have will be closed down. No, they will not be closed down. You have people running that.
But it's for accountability.
Accountability and for probity, transparency in public service, for you to be able to concentrate and serve well.
Now, one particular key office holder in the country that has come under the scrutiny of a certain youth group recently is the Minister of Defense, talking about Muhammad Badaru, where a group recently wrote to EFCC and ICPC to investigate and prosecute him for abuse of power. I will just take a moment to read through the report and have you react to it in just a moment.
Okay.
We hear that as at the 1st of April 2025, the Youth Guardians of Accountability, YGA, had submitted a petition to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and the Independent Corrupt Practices Commission, ICPC, to investigate and prosecute the Minister of Defense and former Governor of Jigawa State, Muhammad Abubakar Badawi, over abuse of office. The group is accusing the minister of flagrantly contravening critical provisions of the Code of Conduct Bureau and Tribunal Act. The petition reads that Mr. Badawi Abubakar actively maintains directorship in the following private companies in violation of federal law prohibiting public officers from engaging in private business activities. Now, of course, the companies listed are the companies the group is accusing Mr. Badawi of running despite holding a public office. I'll take it one after the other now. Telemis Nigeria Limited, Telemis Petroleum Nigeria Limited, Socatel Admins Limited, Gulfstream Logistics Limited, Barbura Line Limited, Egyptian Pharmaceuticals and Hospitals Limited, BIA Bureau de Change Limited, Niger Chambers of Commerce Limited, GTE, and Nigerian Iran Business Council Limited, GT, the group had written to EFCC and ICPC. These are quite huge organizations, both locally and internationally, that the Minister of Defense continues to hold directorship over, even as a serving minister in Nigeria. What do you say to this?
Now, it behoves on the EFCC to really do a thorough investigation.
Yeah.
If the investigation is carried out from the CSC and is discovered that he's actually still a director in these listed companies, then he has flouted the law. But if he did due diligence once he was made a minister, what he should have done was he should have applied to CSC to withdraw a director in all these listed companies. He has all the right to be shareholder in these companies. He could be major shareholder in these companies, but not director. If he retains the position of director in any one at all, then it means he has flouted the law, and the law has to take its full course.
But of course, I understand, Barrister Ogboo, that you want due process to be followed. I just want to go ahead to cite that the minister, well, it says here in this report that the minister continues to file annual returns to these companies with records as recent as last year. He operates a licensed bureau de change while holding a federal ministerial position, flagrantly disregarding the laws designed to prevent conflicts of interest and corruption.
These are things that EFCC will find out. If these companies file annual returns, but himself is no longer a director, he has not done anything wrong. He has the right to be shareholder in any of them or all of them. There are other directors. If he will be so naive as to retain the position of director while these things are being filed, then he has gone wrong and foul.
And by law, what are the provisions of in the Constitution with regards to flouting these rules?
What definitely will happen is that Code of Conduct Bureau Act will be activated. All right, so they have to go and investigate him, and once they get the facts, they pass through the Code of Conduct Tribunal and arrange him for trial.
But Mr. Barrister Ogboo, we all know that in a country like Nigeria, where the term sacred cows is a very common thing, could it be that perhaps all of these indices have been put into place, all of these informations easily at hand for the EFCC and ICPC, but the minister, Badawi Abubakar, is too much of a sacred cow to be touched?
You know, there's something about the law. If somebody abuses office and uses the influence of such office to believe that you are blocking the functionality of the law, we used to say that, you see, the will of the legal wheel may run slowly, but it will grind to a halt, coming to a point where the fast will match. If somebody tries to use the opposition to block all this, a time comes when eventually you are out of office, and this thing doesn't stop just because you were able to block some time ago.
Yes.
That could be just like the case of governors and the president, the vice president, governors, deputy governors have immunity, but that immunity do not block them from investigation when there are criminal issues they have gotten themselves in.
Yeah.
When investigation is carried out and are found culpable, yes, you can't charge them, but once they are out of office, the law will be activated. So a person who tries to use the position to block that is actually shooting himself or herself in the foot, because a time comes when all these things will come into effect. And
the immunity will be taken away.
Himself doesn't have immunity.
At the moment.
And he doesn't have immunity. But it will be abuse of office if he's doing all these things and using influence. So that's clear-cut abuse of office, which he cannot run away from. He can't run away from a shadow. And if these things are real, then this regime also is in for a big mess, because any government in place should avoid all these things. They are not things that are difficult to do. For instance, the current Attorney General of the Federation, it has a very vibrant legal practice.
Yeah.
It has several chambers in several cities in this country. Very vibrant. Yeah. They haven't been made the Attorney General of the Federation. He ceases to be the principal, active practicing principal in the chambers. The chambers will not be closed, and he has people working there. He can't prepare any process. He can't file any process using any of the chambers. He can't do that. Officers under him will do that, but not him. Yeah. So that's how this thing operates. You can't be active in private practice and be active in public service. You are allowed to do farming, yes. You can be active in farming. The law allows that. Yeah. But so these are the things. Investigation is very important. Those who believe they can also becloud the agencies are deceiving themselves.
So, is there a reason why the law sort of overlooks farming when it comes to private practice while still in public office, considering the fact that farming doesn't necessarily have to be small scale? There are large scale farming mechanisms. There are large scale farmers who might even be making more money than most people who own law chambers or other businesses that we might consider very lucrative.
Yes, what has been considered over the years is that every country should have the capacity to feed herself, take care of her citizens, because there's the global stage is too dynamic. Mm-hmm. So if we cannot cater for the welfare of everyone in terms of food, which is a basic necessity, it's a very dangerous trend. That's why all are encouraged to actually get involved in farming, so that we have food security. Mm. That's what is being considered. Okay, so that aspect is done for the safety of all and sundry, considering how, look at what is going on now as Russia is at war with Ukraine. You see, a lot of countries depend on Ukraine for supply of wheat and some other things, but that crisis has worsened the world economy in terms of the cost of items. If we are dependent on nobody when it comes to issue of food, whether there's war in Ukraine or Russia, we'll not bother ourselves. So that's actually what is being looked at, that we should be able to feed ourselves. So everybody is encouraged to farm.
Let's also take a look at it from the angle of contracts, awarding of contract to certain perhaps construction companies or contractors who have direct or indirect links to public office holders who are saddled with the responsibility of awarding these contracts. I'm talking about state governors now, who have been, accused time and time again of indirectly awarding contracts to themselves via certain companies that they might have some sort of shareholding in. What do you make of that?
It is not, the law prohibits that.
Yes.
And whoever does that and is discovered, the person has to undergo prosecution. Any reasonable, sensitive citizen will not do that. You don't need to award the contract to a company that you have a active participation, like shareholding in order to achieve whatever you think you need to achieve. When you award contract to people that have no link to you, all right, you know, every reasonable human being, no one way or the other, will appreciate whoever assists the person to get. But to award it to your own is very wrong. It's an actionable wrong.
And I'm talking about this because I want to make reference to some certain states in a certain region of the country where in recent years we have seen a spate of flyover constructions all over the place. Flyovers in Taraba, flyovers in Adamawa, flyovers in Borno, flyovers in Gombe. In Bauchi, everybody wants to do flyovers. Now this is the line I'm actually charting towards.
No, you know, the issue of flyover, as the city expands, as the city develops, the need for flyovers becoming inevitable. Otherwise, you'll be having traffic congestion, and that is not healthy for any environment at all. If you look at advanced countries, you even see where they have a multiplicity of these flyovers at different layers. Even some have 2-3 layers of it to facilitate easy movement. So having many flyovers is not wrong, but using a company that you have a link to get that executed is where
the argument is that it's one of the easiest form of infrastructure to be done in a state where the state governors can indirectly make money off the projects.
Not using their own company, or you know, and those who may be flouting this provision of the law, they may feel that they have escaped it today. But you see, the society is dynamic. A time comes when someone or a particular regime will come and decide to look into these things critically, and this will be picked up even years after they have left office. You know, so anybody flouting that is doing that to his or her own disadvantage. That is what it is. Every public servant should be clearly aware, and they are usually informed. In fact, when you look at that fifth schedule of the 1999 Constitution as amended, once you come into public office, you have to declare your assets, and you are going to do that every 4 years. If you stay in office for up to 4 years, you must do that again. Any other time you are reappointed, you do that. When you are through with your service, you still declare your assets. The essence of it is to be able to monitor what you have and the trend that goes on in the things you have acquired. When you are in public office, have you abused office to your own advantage by increasing the assets that you have, or you have just served people based on what you were paid as a public servant? All these are checks and balances. Those who manipulate, you know, may think they have escaped, but a government comes that can scrutinize all these things, and it becomes somebody's Waterloo.
Is it possible for a state government to carry out major infrastructural projects in a state without necessarily borrowing money? Because it's now a trend in states for state governors to borrow money internationally. Of course, these monies are most at times misappropriated or mismanaged, and then when they leave office, they leave the state government or the state with the burden of that debt, having pulled themselves out as individuals from that position.
When we have, you know, God-fearing leaders, when we have leaders of probity, accountability, transparency, even if they be borrowing, it will be minute. It will be minute. I'll give an illustration. When Peter Obi was the governor of Anambra State, he didn't go into that borrowing spree as we see many do. That's why when he finished his term, the state had a lot of resources that were handed over to the incoming government.
Yes.
So when we have such persons, they don't take pride in borrowing because you believe that public office is on your father. This thing. It's your father's affair. It affects you and every other person. We have a lot of public office holders who are abusing their positions, believing that I will finish and go, the state continues. It is very wrong. It's very wrong. Even if there should be borrowing, it should be borrowing that the type of the project.
These borrowings don't catch up with them afterwards. That's the problem.
It appears not to be catching up because of the way that most of our public office holders appear to be going now.
What way is that?
No, the issue of probity is downplayed here.
Yeah.
All right, prosecution of public officers, most of them is they take it to make jokes. They are not taking it serious. But you see, there comes a stage in the life of a nation where stock has to be taken. And when that happens, most of this nonsense that we see happening will stop. For instance, look at a country like China. The kind of looting people do in public service here, they dare not try there. It's capital offense. They try, once you are convicted, they get you killed. And because of that, people are honest, people are sincere, and things are working. So we get to that stage. There are some leaders of some of these countries who have left office for many years, but along the line, you see them being tried and jailed. We will get to that. For now, people are just playing games. Believe we can do anything and go away with it. Those who came before you did, and nothing happened and all. But it will not continue like this. We'll get to a point where public officers are held accountable on a general note, and that will stop. But for now, politicians are, looting the country dry. I'm feeling that nothing will happen.
Well, a certain state governor in Abia State, talking about Governor Alex Oti, in a recent speech he was given, had cited that most of the major infrastructural developments that his administration has brought about in Abia State, a state that has had its own fair share of struggles in terms of development, they did all of those without borrowing a single sum of money from anywhere, both locally and internationally. Can't that be emulated by other state governors in the country? It should
be emulated. Even in SCT here, I was listening to a report either a day or 2 days ago,
yes,
that SCT's internal generated revenue is now second to Lagos. 900 billion.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yes, for the past year. And you don't see the SCT minister borrowing money to do these projects. It's generated from within here. So the other leaders should emulate that. It is a possibility where there's honesty. What you see most of the time is that they pick up people who pursue internal generated revenue and sink it into their private pockets and then borrow money to tell that they're executing public projects, which most of the time they don't.
And what is the place of checks and balances in this situation? Because who is saddled with the responsibility of probing these governors to ensure that IGRs are not diverted into personal pockets and then borrowed funds are now being fronted as the major IGR being used for executing projects?
Those who should have done that are guilty of the same. At the federal level, you see that most ministers are involved in these abuses. So, who then spearheads the checks and balances? That's the problem. And you see, our legislature, when we talk of being an oversight function, if our legislature sits up today to ensure that oversight function is done in a very transparent manner, without going to expect an MDA to forward some benefits to you because you are going there, the MDA will sit up. But where you are supposed to oversight an MDA and you have a target of what you want to get from there, there can be an effective oversight function. So checks and balance cannot work.
So it's a matter of stomach infrastructure for
infrastructure that most of these people are doing, and that's where we are. those who are supposed to oversight are not even doing what they're supposed to do. So at the end of the day, everything comes back to square one.
Now, Barrister Ogboo, you have been a very vehement supporter of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. On this program, you have, lauded his efforts in terms of human capital development in the country. However, there is a very crucial case of some sort of foul play with regards to awarding of contract. I'm talking about the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway that was awarded to a company belonging to somebody that is considered a crony of the governor, and also a company that is affiliated to the son of the president's friend as well as the president's son. Talking about Sheikh Tinubu. What do you make of this? Because at the time when it was raised, it was quickly swept under the carpet and nothing has been said about it ever since then.
No, where I've vehemently supported the president is his approach towards fight against insecurity. He has been very proactive, to be sincere. When you compare this regime of President Tinubu to that of past regime of Buhari,
yes,
when it comes to fight against insecurity, Tinubu has been very effective in pursuing this. That is where I have always supported very strongly. Now, the issue of that Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, when allegations are made, investigation is what you eventually reveal what could be the matter.
Yes.
Because there's something about allegations. Every allegation needs to be properly investigated. It remains an allegation until it is proven. Okay? If there are facts there, there's never a time I myself or anybody that is reasonable will support a foul play. I've had Minister of Transport, Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi,
yes,
trying to explain issues on that coastal highway. It's something that needs thorough investigation. It's a very humongous and very massive project. It's massive. So thorough investigation should be made. If the allegation is real, then that becomes an issue. I can never support anything wrong anybody is doing. Yeah, Tinubu's government has also been trying in certain aspects of addressing some public concerns. All right, I can't support in total whatever is going on. No, because there are steps this regime has taken which doesn't go down well with any right-thinking citizen. For instance, the issue of emergency rule in River State, that is too wrong.
Yeah.
Yes, because if you want to convince us that there's need for emergency rule in River State, there should be emergency rule in Lagos State.
When the whole House of Assembly crisis happened.
Are you getting it? Yes. There should be emergency rule in Lagos State. There should be in Zamfara State.
They should be in Sokoto. They should be in Katsina.
In Niger.
Or Niger.
Yes, because things happening in Plateau now is even worse than what we are talking about in rivers. Look at human beings being massacred anyhow without restraint.
Yesterday was about 54 people.
In another community and another local government.
Yeah.
All right? Yeah. We don't talk about what is going on in Katsina or what is going on in Zamfara. So, when you come to such kind of thing, you see that the government has gone so wrong, and they can retrace their steps in that. So I can't support into whatever is going on. But when a right step is taken, for me, I believe that we should commend where someone gets it right, while we condemn where the person goes wrong.
Now, let me just get your take on this concerning a leaked corporate document which unveiled that Sheikh Tinubu, now of course this is leaked, we cannot ascertain or confirm this right now, but I'm just reading out the information that is in the public domain at the moment. Now, a leaked corporate document has revealed that Sheikh Tinubu, the son of the president, co-owned an offshore company with Ronald Chaguri Jr., the son of billionaire tycoon Ronald Chaguri, who is also a crony of the president. Now, this company, incorporated 8 years ago in the British Virgin Islands, has come under scrutiny following the awarding of a $13 billion contract to build a 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar coastal highway to High-Tech Construction Company Limited, a subsidiary of the Chaguri Group. Do you see where this is heading towards?
No, I do. I do. It's subject to investigation.
Yes.
It's subject to investigation and thorough investigation. You know, number one, Sheyi Tinubu is not a public office holder presently.
Certainly.
Yes. He's a family member, he's the son to the incumbent president. All right? So, when investigations are made, then you'll be looking at where there could be culpability or not. Usually, once somebody comes to public glare, a lot of dust usually get cast on the person. But investigation reveals what the facts are. That's why it's always good to have your facts when you want to deal with an issue. If there's anything wrong in that when investigated, then the right legal procedure should be kickstarted.
But you talk about investigations as if the EFCC or ICPC will just spring up and investigate the president or investigate the awarding of the contracts.
We have a long way to go in this country.
Yeah.
If you look at what happens abroad, look at like US, for instance, where the president comes and makes a presidential order on an issue, and the Chief Justice of the nation counters it. That shows that the different arms in such a country, they are independent and functional as the way they are supposed to be.
Yes.
But here, we don't have it working. You see, the judiciary, the executive, the legislature, they are fused together in doing things. And that's why we are not making progress.
In most cases, the judiciary and the legislature have been accused of being in the pockets of the executive.
Because the way appointments are made based on the provision of our law makes most of these bodies to be subservient, which is not healthy at all. Even like the issue of INEC that conducts election. Because the president appoints the INEC chairman, in as much as it's called the Independent Electoral Commission,
it's not really independent.
It's not independent at all. It's not. The independence is denied in all these. And that's why we think, for instance, some people said that this current legislation, National Assembly, if the current president has a opportunity of doing second term, I want to go for third term, that they will approve it. And I'll tell you, they will approve it.
If he wants to.
They will approve fourth term. Because today, anything that comes to them is done willy-nilly. You know? It's so heavy. Abroad, in advanced countries, advanced democracies, it doesn't happen like that. We need to get to such a state where the three arms of government are independent and running effectively. We are not there. We are not there. That's why so many of these things are happening. So, if we have such a system, there's no reason why EFCC cannot effectively do its job. Look at what happens in these advanced countries. They do it. They investigate.
Time to time,
they do
their investigations and
come out with clear-cut results.
If you have immunity, they wait till you don't have immunity anymore.
And immediately they pick it up.
Swing into action.
But yeah, none of that. So the issue of this arms being independent, we need it to happen. But for now, we don't have it.
Well, it's a fine place to leave the conversation.
That's interesting.
I wish we had more time, but we have just about 4 minutes before the next show. It's been a pleasure having this conversation.
That's quite interesting.
Hopefully, we get it right in Nigeria.
We need to, especially our position in Africa. If Nigeria gets it right, it will be a great healing to other African countries.